welcome. You're watching Weather HQ. I'm Paolo del Rosario. This week, we've covered several key topics, including the Quezon City government's free veterinary services, the recently approved 50-year ban on new mining permits in Palawan, and more. Let's begin with my interview with Dr. Ray Del Napoles from the Quezon City Veterinary Office, where we discuss the details of the city's free veterinary services.
The entire month of March is the Rabies Awareness Month, and we are putting forward the consciousness on the importance of getting our pets vaccinated. On every day po is rabies awareness for us. It's a priority for the Quezon City government to put an end to rabies, and we have a timeline of 0 by 30, wherein we hope that there's no human death from dog-mediated rabies by 2030. So, puspusan po yung pagbibigay natin ng serbisyo, nag-house to house po tayo, nag-stationary point po tayo. So, these are strategic point sa mga barangay na nagre-request po sa atin ng bakuna. So, aside from bakuna po, may libre din po tayong kapon, which is done by schedule. At this point, twice a week po tayo nagkakapon. And then may libre din po tayong microchipping, which is done during caravans and on big events po. And then may free deworming and consult then on top of the usual activities po natin.
Well, Doc, there's a lot of programs to go through, pero simulan muna natin sa anti-rabies. You mentioned 0 by 30. Just so we have an idea, kamusta man yung progress going towards that goal? Kasi that is a very ambitious goal, Doc.
It is, but from the last 3 to 4 years, ang human death natin sa Quezon City has been maintained at 2. So I think kung puspusan po yung pagbabakuna natin ng mga hayop or ng mga aso at pusa natin, ma-eliminate natin ang human deaths sooner than 2030. Ang pakiusap lang natin sa lahat po sana ng mga bite victims natin, sumangguni kagad sa mga doktor, pumunta po sa mga bite centers para po mabigyan ng libreng bakuna. Libre po ang bakuna sa tao po, lalo na kung kinakailangan kagad i-provide ang mga post-exposure treatments.
Doc, for those who are first-time pet owners especially, and for those na hindi pa sanay magka-pet, gaano ka-regular dapat yung vaccination process? And of course, for those not aware, gaano ka-importante ang pagbabakuna for the overall health of their pets?
So, the rabies vaccine is given annually po. We should not miss out that opportunity to vaccinate and to revaccinate every year. Until such time na we are rabies-free, hindi natin dapat palampasin po yung pagkakataon na annually vaccinated yung alaga natin, because we could not take the risk na pwede sa mag-acquire ng rabies from total random dogs. So while we are walking our dogs sa parks, baka biglang atakehin ng isang rabid dog and they can acquire the rabies if they're not updated po sa vaccine nila.
Sir, na-mention niyo po that there are some measures in terms of the population control of pets, or at least you're offering services to help address that. Do you have any numbers on the pet statistics sa Quezon City po?
Hindi pa po updated ng ating survey. The last dog population survey na ginawa natin was in 2017. We found out 20% ng human population is the dog population. Last Friday, we spoke with the Global Alliance for Rabies Control. The recent study that they've done, nasa 25% na ng human population. So this estimate has been bloating up, and this is in effect of the pandemic. Kasi during the pandemic, a lot of households took in pets to keep them, occupied, to ease out from boredom, among others. And this is also confirmed by a big pet food company. They saw an increase of 60% in cat ownership and 40% in dog ownership.
Well, Doc, another program you had is yung microchipping. And some people might be wondering, why do we need to microchip? Why is it important na they have this piece of technology in their pets?
So the microchip is a permanent ID. It's like wearing an ID na hindi mo siya pwedeng ipagpalit, hindi siya pwedeng matanggal. So it's an embedded device. It's as big as a grain of rice, and that's worn by the patient for life. So when we scan it, it gives us a serial number, and then this serial number can be validated through a database, and we can pull out the information of the pet owner as well as yung taga saan siya. So in case na mawawala yung alaga natin, we can help them to be rehomed. And in cases of disaster po, and based on experience that we've had in the recent years, ang dami pong pets na naiiwanan during disasters. I was in Yolanda day 4 after the aftermath. Ang dami pong pets na iwanan sa mga homes, and we took in more than 600 dogs from Tacloban, and we were able to rehome them manually. Hinanap natin yung mga pangalan ng mga may-ari ng bahay, and it was a tedious process. Whereas kung may microchip and then there is a database, mas madali na po natin silang malocate.
Doc, for those wondering, I'm sure there are a lot of people who are interested in microchipping, pero they're worried about yung comfort ng mga pets po nila in terms of like the process of actually implanting the technology. For those with that particular concern, Doc, what message do you have for them?
Well, I would understand when we have pets, we look at them as our babies, and yes, it's a bit painful, but it's just, if expert po yung mag-i-implant, it's a rapid shot, so mabibigla lang, mararamdaman ng alaga natin, mabibigla lang po sila sa sudden pain, but then it's over with a few seconds after. Normal minsan na dumudugo sa implantation site kasi may mga patients tayo or may mga pets tayo na medyo malipis yung balat at sensitive. But then nonetheless po, they don't need to take pain meds, they don't need to take antibacterial meds because it's a perfectly safe method po of implantation. Medyo malaki lang talaga po yung karayom, but it's the only way we can implant it. But rest be assured, it's very safe for our pets.
Doc, for the Quezon City residents who want to take advantage of the free services we did mention, how can they do so? How can they reach out and avail of your services? And of course, where can they find out more about the programs of the QC City government, especially when it comes to their pets?
So all our schedules po, be it the house-to-house vaccinations, are posted in our Facebook page, Animal Care and Disease Control. Follow lang po, at pati yung Quezon City Veterinary Department. Nakapost po araw-araw ang ating programa, masusundan po nila yung mga kung nasaan po ang ating house-to-house activities, pati yung mga request. Pati din po ang schedule natin ng kapon. Now, for the libreng bakuna po everyday, nandito po sa Quezon City Hall, sa City Health Building po, ground floor, meron po tayong clinic, may libreng clinic po tayo para sa ating mga pets. Pwede po mag-avail ng libreng bakuna, microchipping, deworming, consult, at pwede din po magpa-schedule ng kapon because they only do once a week na kapon sa ating clinics. And then, meron din po tayong mga scheduled caravan. Kung nasaan po kayong distrito, pwede niyo po sundan yung Facebook page ng ating district action offices. Nakapost po doon yung schedule na caravan. And during the caravans, binababa din po natin yung libreng bakuna at microchipping.
He's from the Quezon City Veterinary Office, Dr. Ray Del Napoles. Maraming salamat po. Thank you so much for the insights and the information.
Thank you very much po. It has been a pleasure to be sharing this information to all our pet owners.
When we return, we'll take a closer look at the recent approval of a 50-year ban on new mining permits in Palawan, a decision that has sparked significant debate in the region. Stay tuned. Weather HQ will be right back.
Get to the latest stories.
The Philippines bags a historic bronze at the 2025 Asia-Pacific Women's Lacrosse Championship.
The updates.
Table tennis power duo siblings brought home medals from the WTT Youth Contender.
The scores and what to celebrate in the world of sports.
I'm Anton Rojas.
And I'm Erica Christensen.
On the scorecard.
Where sports is our business.
And business is our sport.
Only here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Good morning, everyone!
Let's begin your morning with these people that gives you the hottest information.
I'm Paolo del Rosario. Let's get you up to speed with some news that you could use right now.
Rise and shine, beautiful people. I'm Ann Esses Carillo.
And I'm Monique Tuzon. Your mornings are always mo fun with us.
With excitement,
It was amazing.
positivity,
Everything is so beautifully made here.
and fun to start your day.
Only here on...
It's a beautiful day! Welcome back. You're still watching Weather HQ. The Palawan local government has unanimously approved a groundbreaking 50-year ban on new mining permits, a move that has been widely praised by environmental organizations and the local communities. Now, to discuss this further, here's my conversation with Jonila Castro, a spokesperson for the Kalikasan People's Network for the Environment.
Masaya yung reaction namin, kahit ako personally, kasi ang tagal na nating nananawagan na matigil yung mga mining sa maraming lugar dito sa Pilipinas. But especially nasa Palawan na to, na tinatawag nga nating last ecological frontier sa Pilipinas, masaya kami na nagkaroon ng matagal, 5 decades na moratorium.
At well, let's talk about yung reaction muna ng COMP, yung Chamber of Mines of the Philippines, Chamber of Mines of the Philippines. Sinabi nila na medyo myopic yung decision na to, and of course would affect yung holistic development of the mineral production over in Palawan for the next 50 years. Yung narinig nyo to, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, yun nga, it sounds like for us environmental advocates, it sounds like guilt-tripping and brainwashing sentiment. Kasi, the reason why may malaking boost ng demand sa minerals is dahil nga dito sa transition natin sa cleaner energy due to climate change, diba? Pero, when we're talking about climate change, hindi dapat yung mga bansang tulad ng Pilipinas, yung pinipressure nila to do something about it. Kasi actually yung Philippines is a climate vulnerable country. Tayo yung pumasa nung climate change na nangyayari dito sa buong mundo, na ang may dahilan naman ay yung mga tinatawag nating global north countries. Yung mga US, European countries. Sila yun Sila dapat yung nagtitake ng action, hindi tayo. And aside from that, tungkol lang din naman dito sa development, ganyan, ang nangyayari kasi sa mining sa Pilipinas, ang nangyayari, nagkukuha ng mas malaki pang destruction sa environment. Para sa ating mga environmental advocate, ang pinaka-epektibong sagot sa climate change ay yung pagprotekta mismo sa environment. Kasi nandiyan na yung natural barriers natin Kung dahil sa global warming, we have to plant more trees. But mining causes deforestation. So, nagkukos din siya ng pag-iiba ng waterways. Kaya bumabaha sa mga lugar na dating hindi naman binabaha. So, it is just pinapalala niya yung magiging epekto sa atin ng mga disaster, ng mga bagyo na malala na ngayon. So, hindi dapat yung mga bansang katulad ng Pilipinas yung pinopressure patungkol sa climate mitigation and adaptation. Yung mga bansa dapat yun na historically napatunayan na sila yung nagkukos ng climate change.
Jonila, there is a Philippine Mining Act of 1995 which could affect yung implementation ng 50-year moratorium on new mining permits. When you take a look at yung Mining Act na to, how do you feel it would actually affect yung enforcement ng 50-year mining ban?
Well, ang ano nga natin dyan, sana wag mangyari yung kailangan pa rin maging mapagbantay dito sa nilabas na moratorium. Kasi dito sa Pilipinas, ang dami ng nangyaring mga moratorium on new mining permits. Pero nare-repeal. So, ang natin, sana wag yun mangyari. Actually, Kalikasan is calling for the scrap of the Philippine Mining Act kasi it's actually the 30th year this year is the 30th year of the Philippine Mining Act. And at those 3 decades, lalong dumami yung mining na nag-cause ng mas malaking pagkasira ng kalikasan at saka pagpapalayas sa communities, even indigenous communities. Hindi dapat gano'n yung mining. Hindi dapat gano'n yung mining industry sa Pilipinas.
Yeah.
If we're having mining kasi para daw sa development and for the economy, ano siya counterproductive kasi hindi siya nakakatulong sa mamamayan at sa kalikasan, mas nakakapalala pa. That's why we're calling to pass the People's Mining Bill na mag-ensure na hindi nasisira yung kalikasan at hindi naapektuhan yung communities. And our minerals is being used for our own. Kasi ang nangyari sa ngayon, ang ating minerals ay in-export sa ibang bansa. Hindi talaga tayo nakikinabang. Of all these destruction na nangyayari sa environment at pagpapalayas, less than 1% pa lang ng GDP natin ang lang ng mining ang naiaambag niya sa ating GDP. And wala pang 1% sa employment. So, ang layo niya sa pagiging pamboost ng economy.
Actually, Jonila, I want to cut you off there because I want to ask you one last question because we're running out of time. And at the same time, na-mention mo nga yung economy, but also we mentioned about yung implementation ng 50-year moratorium. Gaano kalaki yung local activism that has to be there, has to be in place to make sure that masusunod yung 50-year moratorium, and of course for those affected communities, because there are communities that do rely on the mining industry in certain areas. How do you feel they should adapt as well?
I think dapat isa yun sa may implementation na yung magkaroon ng trabaho na maibibigay doon sa mga miners, yung mga taong nakadepende yung pamumuhay nila sa pagmimina. Lalo yan yung mga minero naman yan eh. So dapat may kalangkap siya na ganun para tiyakin na walang naiiwanan sa mga ini-implement.
Stay tuned. Weather HQ will be right back.
From the filing of candidacies until the last ballot is counted, your newest trusted news source, BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel, will be at the forefront to guide your decisions and guard your vote. Tune in to BNC's Election 2025 Special Coverage.
Ito po si Father Nono.
Ako po si Father Fiel Pareha.
Ako si Risa Singson Kaupeng.
Kape at pandasal na po tayo. Ito po si Cardinal Chito Tagli.
As concerns rise over ocean protection, we're also shining a light on organizations dedicated to marine conservation. To learn more, here's my interview with Antoinette Toss, founder of Cora.
Cora actually is named after my mom, Cora, who really lived a life in service and charity of people and everyone around her who needed help. And me, myself, I was looking for some opportunity to just give back in any way that I could, and even in the simplest way by volunteering. And because we found it a little difficult to find easy volunteering opportunities with friends and family, we decided to just do little events on our own together. And from there, within a year, from just committing to being consistent once a month, we ended up turning into a nonprofit organization that I actually never thought would ever happen. It was something that was unplanned and that happened organically because of people that we were pleasantly surprised and overjoyed and blessed that we found out ang dami palang gustong sumali, marami palang gustong mag-volunteer. And so we're very grateful that because of that, and now today, because of the support of not just private sector partners, but by various government institutions, for instance, our partnership right now with the French Embassy of the Philippines, we are getting support from other countries for ocean conservation right here in the Philippines.
You know, you mentioned the term volunteering. Volunteerism in the country is something that I personally feel is a bit untapped. The opportunity is not quite there, and here you are providing the opportunity to actually volunteer for an advocacy that actually calls them to be young leaders to have more active roles in ocean conservation. You take a look at the role of the youth in particular when it comes to engaging them and in terms of volunteering in something as critical as ocean pollution, plastic, marine pollution. Just how important is their role in the conservation efforts?
Well, in everything that we do at Cora, from our food rescue feeding programs to coastal cleanups, tree planting, and even the circular economy recycling initiatives, the youth are involved in everything. And not just the youth, of course, women and youth. I know earlier you were talking about women empowerment. And so these are goals that are truly important to us at Cora. Inclusivity, making sure that everyone is included, not just in the solutions, but be able to participate and are able to lead. And you actually said something very important, which is the youth actually have a very, very important role to play in conservation, and not just in conservation, in building a better future for all as a whole. And so through the work that we do at Cora, we provide opportunities for youth, for schools to be able to take part in our programs, children, youth of all ages. And we are also working now directly with our youth officials, so particularly the Sangguniang Kabataan. So they are the ones really taking the lead in shaping policies and really working together with local government units to build a better community, a more sustainable community that can actually thrive even amidst climate change and everything that we are facing today.
You mentioned the youth. You actually have a project called the Youth for Oceans. How does that work?
Yes, so this Youth for Oceans initiative is actually the one that I mentioned with the Sangguniang Kabataan. Because when we think of the youth, we know that they are not just the stewards of the earth, and of course that will be inheriting everything that is here, but they also are a source of so many incredible ideas. And not just ideas, they have that energy and that passion to use their voices, to take action, to push these missions forward. And so through the Sangguniang Kabataan of Parañaque City, we launched the Youth for Oceans initiative. And this is funded by the French Embassy to the Philippines and Micronesia. And this is actually supporting youth and oceans to ensure that our youth leaders not just have the voice, but have the opportunity and the platform to really bring their ideas, their policies, their recommendations to the forefront. And of course, for our leaders to take them seriously so that we can do this together.
It's so great that you're actually collaborating with an embassy like the French Embassy. Of course, another campaign that's part of that collaboration is the 100 Days for the Ocean campaign. Now, when we talk about the 100 Days for the Ocean campaign, what is the main thrust of this when it comes to creating lasting change here?
Well, to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Manila Call to Action on climate change, a milestone moment for the French-Filipino partnership at the international stage, last February 26th, the Embassy of France to the Philippines, I was also actually there, launched a mobilization campaign as we gear up together on the way to Nice. And that is actually 100 days from that date, Feb 26th, less than 100 now. And this new call to action gathered partners of what we were just talking about, the Blue Nations Initiative, France and the Philippines, Partners for the Oceans. And this campaign is what you said, called 100 Days for the Ocean. And this is also because the UN Ocean Conference is taking place this June and is being hosted by France, particularly in Nice. And so this is something that the Philippines and France are united in as maritime countries, believing that ocean stewardship and conservation is crucial to a sustainable future.
Yeah, we talk about the conservation of it, and it is so apt and so timely that we're talking about this, especially when we come to talk about, let's talk about plastic pollution in particular, especially the Philippines having a big issue with that, one of the biggest producers of plastic waste in the world, and yet here we are, one of the most affected countries in the world when it comes to climate change, when it comes to ocean pollution. Just how important is it to at least start at a grassroots level, which is what you're trying to do with your volunteers, with the young leaders, to try and address this as early as now, or maybe a bit too late, but address this to try and make sure that we can have an impact on the battle against climate change?
Thank you so much. That is a very, very wonderful question, and there's a lot to unpack there, but I'll try to give you different sections of this answer. First, I would like to take it on the serious level that sometimes is a little bit more intimidating, but we're very grateful we have youth leadership in creating these resolutions that can move us forward. And so once again, in Youth for Oceans, we're doing everything from citizen science through our coastal cleanups. We're donating recycling bins to schools by working with schools in Parañaque City. All 16 barangays will be receiving recycling bins. And of course, this is also in partnership with the Department of Education. And when we really take it now to a grassroots level or to an individual level, as citizens, you and I together, even as volunteers, as human beings, what can we do? On a daily basis, small actions truly do count, from bringing your own reusable tumbler everywhere you go to avoiding single-use plastics. Now, let me give you some quick numbers. Sadly, in the Philippines, the World Bank has determined that every single day we consume and throw away up to 163 million sachets. And so, of course, we look at how we can avoid single-use plastics, but we also look at the plight of vulnerable citizens, and of course, those that every single day are working very hard just to make ends meet. And we really truly believe that tingi-tingi culture is something that is unique and genius to the Filipino people and also existed way before plastics were invented. And so tingi-tingi is really not the issue, but really just looking at more ways that we can contribute, and for businesses to create better delivery systems, better packaging systems, so that we can more realistically participate in these solutions as well. One final thing, as I remind you about your reusable tumbler each day, that's one of the easiest things and the first things that I did. Just by bringing your own reusable bottle every single day, each year you are already helping prevent up to 1,000 plastic bottles from ending up in the trash, in the environment, or in the ocean. So small actions count, and of course, all the way to our youth being able to lead with policies and resolutions.
Ms. Antoinette, I really wish we had an hour more because I have so many more questions, but we are running out of time. Just really quickly, for those who want to reach out to you and to Cora to try and contribute and make a bigger change, how can they do so?
Thank you so much. Well, most especially right now through this Youth for Oceans initiative that we are doing with the French Embassy to the Philippines, you can join us for our coastal cleanups and for our citizen scientist activities, recycling and circular economy programs, whether you are an individual, a volunteer, or a school, especially if you are an SK Youth leader. You can reach us through our social media channels at Planet Cora and at We Are Cora, all the way from Instagram to Facebook and more, and our webpage, www.wearecora.org.
And that's a wrap for this week's Weather HQ. Be sure to join us again next week, only here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Have a great weekend.